Lauren Whitmore was a billionaire CEO who controlled markets, governments, and headlines. But the day her 4-year-old son stopped speaking, she discovered there was one thing money could never buy: a voice. And the stranger who helped her son find it didn't come from her world at all. Before we continue, take a quick second to support the channel. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join our community. It helps the channel grow and lets us keep bringing you billionaire stories that matter. Thank you. Now, let's continue. Lauren Whitmore had built her life on certainty. At 42, she was the founder and CEO of Whitmore Global Systems, a multi-billion-dollar technology conglomerate headquartered in Manhattan, New York. Her days were measured in acquisitions, quarterly earnings, and international conference calls. Her decisions moved stock prices. Her signature closed deals worth more than most people would earn in a lifetime. She was known for control. That reputation did not follow her home. Inside her glass-walled penthouse overlooking Central Park, control vanished the moment she stepped out of her heels and became simply Mom. Her son, Noah Whitmore, was 4 years old. He had sandy blonde hair, wide blue eyes, and a quietness that now filled every room he entered. 3 months earlier, Noah had stopped speaking. The change had come shortly after Lauren's husband left. There had been no dramatic argument, no scandal splashed across tabloids. Just a calm conversation over dinner, a carefully rehearsed explanation about needing space, and the sound of a suitcase rolling toward the elevator. Noah had stood in the hallway that night, gripping his toy fire truck, watching his father walk away. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. He didn't say goodbye. At first, Lauren believed the silence was temporary. Children reacted to change in unpredictable ways. She reassured herself the way she always did, with logic. But logic failed her. Days passed. Then weeks. Noah stopped answering questions. Stopped saying, "Mama." Stopped laughing out loud. He communicated only through nods, gestures, and distant stares. Lauren reacted the only way she knew how. She mobilized resources. Within days, she had assembled a team of elite pediatricians, child psychologists, and speech therapists. Appointments were booked in Boston, Chicago, and San Francisco. Private jets waited on standby. No expense was spared. Every specialist reached the same conclusion. There is no physical impairment. No neurological damage. His cognitive development is normal. One therapist finally said what Lauren feared. This appears to be selective mutism triggered by emotional trauma. Lauren nodded calmly, thanked the doctor, and walked out with perfect composure. She broke down only after the car door closed. At home, the silence felt heavier than any boardroom pressure she had ever faced. Noah followed routines obediently. He ate his meals, slept through the night, played quietly with his toys. But his eyes no longer sparkled with curiosity. They seemed older, guarded. Every night, Lauren sat beside his bed and read aloud, fairy tales, adventure stories, anything that once made him giggle. "Mama loves you," she whispered at the end of each night. No response. For the first time in her life, Lauren Whitmore faced a problem that intelligence, money, and influence could not solve. Her security team suggested more specialists. Her assistants scheduled additional evaluations. But one Saturday morning, Lauren did something impulsive. She canceled everything. She dressed Noah in a simple hoodie and sneakers and told her driver to take them to Prospect Park in Brooklyn. No press. No bodyguards nearby. No billionaire image to maintain. Just a mother and her silent son. They sat on a weathered bench near a sandbox. Children laughed nearby. Parents chatted casually. Life moved on around them. Noah knelt in the sand, digging slowly with a plastic shovel. Lauren watched him, her chest tight with longing for the sound of his voice. Then someone spoke. "Hey there. Mind if my son joins him?" Lauren looked up. The man standing there was ordinary in the most striking way. Mid-30s. Casual jeans. Kind eyes. No sense of urgency or judgment. Beside him stood a small boy, humming softly, rocking slightly on his feet. "This is Ethan," the man said. "He likes sandcastles." Lauren hesitated. "My son, he doesn't really talk." The man smiled gently. "That's okay. Mine doesn't either." He introduced himself as Ryan Carter. Without waiting for permission, Ryan knelt beside Noah and began building a simple sand structure. No questions. No instructions. No pressure. Ethan joined in, carefully patting sand into place. Noah watched. Then, slowly, he picked up his shovel and joined them. Lauren's breath caught in her throat. For the first time in months, her son wasn't withdrawing. He was connecting. Lauren didn't know it yet, but that ordinary moment in an ordinary park was the beginning of something extraordinary. Ryan Carter learned patience long before he learned acceptance. When his son, Ethan Carter, was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2, Ryan was still married, still hopeful that life would follow the plan he had imagined. Doctors used careful language, developmental differences, communication delays, support needs, but the message underneath was clear. Ethan would not grow the way other children did. Ryan's wife struggled with that reality. She loved Ethan, but the weight of uncertainty pressed heavily on her. Arguments grew frequent. Sleep disappeared. Fear filled the spaces where joy once lived. By the time Ethan turned 3, the marriage ended quietly, much like Lauren Whitmore's had. There were no courtroom battles, no screaming matches. Just exhaustion and 2 adults who realized love was no longer enough to hold everything together. Ryan moved into a modest townhouse in New Jersey, close enough to the city to find work, far enough to afford stability. He worked as a freelance architectural designer, choosing flexibility over prestige so he could be present for his son. Ethan didn't speak, but he listened. He noticed everything: the rhythm of footsteps, the change in lighting, the tension in a room. He expressed himself through humming, tapping, hand movements, and long, thoughtful gazes. Ryan learned to listen differently. He learned that silence didn't mean absence. It meant depth. That was why, the moment he saw Noah Whitmore in the sandbox that Saturday morning, Ryan recognized the signs immediately. The stillness. The guarded posture. The eyes that watched but didn't invite. Ryan didn't see a broken child. He saw a child protecting himself. So when he introduced Ethan to Noah, he did what had always worked best with his son. He removed expectations. The boys built sandcastles every Saturday after that. Lauren Whitmore arrived each week dressed a little less like a billionaire and a little more like a mother trying to breathe. Sometimes she brought coffee. Sometimes pastries. Sometimes nothing at all. At first, conversation between her and Ryan stayed light. Small talk. Weather. Children. But silence had a way of opening doors when words failed. One afternoon, as the boys played side by side, Lauren finally asked the question that had been weighing on her since their first meeting. "How did you know?" she asked quietly. Ryan looked at her. "Know what?" "How to not panic," she said. "Everyone keeps telling me what Noah should be doing. What milestones he's missing. What needs fixing." Ryan leaned back on his hands, watching Ethan carefully smooth the walls of the sandcastle. "I stopped measuring Ethan against other kids," he said. "The day I did that was the day I finally started hearing him." Lauren swallowed hard. "Noah used to talk all the time," she admitted. "He was curious, loud, happy. And then his father left, and it's like he locked himself away." Ryan nodded. "Kids don't lose themselves. They hide when it feels safer." That sentence stayed with Lauren. She thought of the boardrooms she dominated, the negotiations she won by waiting in silence while others rushed to fill it. She had always known silence was powerful. She had just never applied that lesson to motherhood. The Saturdays continued. Ryan never asked Lauren about her wealth, her company, or her status. And Lauren found herself grateful for that. With him, she wasn't a billionaire CEO. She was just a woman trying to understand her child. The boys developed their own language. Ethan showed Noah how to tap rhythms in the sand. Noah copied him. Ethan hummed softly. Noah followed, unsure at first, then more confidently. Lauren watched everything. One afternoon, Noah reached for Ethan's hand. It was small, brief, but intentional. Lauren had to look away to hide her tears. That night, after putting Noah to bed, Lauren sat alone in her penthouse and replayed the day in her mind. For the first time in months, She felt something other than fear. Hope. The next breakthrough came quietly. It happened on a Tuesday morning, not during therapy, not during playdates. Lauren was in the kitchen making breakfast when she heard it. A sound. Not a word. A hum. Soft. Shaky. Uncertain. She froze. Noah stood near the counter, clutching his toy train, humming under his breath. Lauren dropped to her knees. She didn't rush him. She didn't ask him to repeat it. She just smiled through tears and whispered, "I hear you." That afternoon, she called Ryan. Her voice shook as she told him what happened. Ryan didn't celebrate loudly. He didn't sound surprised. "That's his way of checking if the world is safe again," he said gently. "Just keep showing him that it is." Weeks passed. The hums became sounds. The sounds became attempts. One evening, as Lauren tucked Noah into bed, he touched her cheek and whispered a word so quiet she almost missed it. "Mama." Lauren pressed her forehead against his. "Yes," she whispered. "Mama." The next Saturday, Noah pointed at Ryan in the sandbox. "And." Ryan's throat tightened. Then Noah pointed at Ethan. "Friend." Lauren realized then that the park had become more than a meeting place. It was a bridge between two worlds. Between wealth and simplicity. Between fear and trust. Between silence and voice. Lauren and Ryan began spending time outside the park. Simple dinners, walks, shared moments that felt grounded and real. The boys thrived in the stability. Lauren still ran an empire. But now she ended her days on the floor, building sandcastles of a different kind, ones made of patience, presence, and understanding. She was no longer trying to fix her son. She was finally learning how to hear him. And in doing so, she was discovering a version of herself she had never known existed. Time did not rush the healing. Lauren Whitmore learned that slowly. In her professional life, speed was everything. Markets moved fast. Opportunities vanished if you hesitated. Decisiveness was praised, delay punished. But healing did not respond to urgency. It unfolded quietly, at its own pace, on park benches, kitchen floors, and late-night conversations whispered into the dark. As Noah's voice began to return in fragments, Lauren resisted every instinct to push him further. She remembered Ryan's words, connection before correction, and held on to them whenever fear crept back in. Some days Noah spoke. Some days he didn't. And that was okay. Ethan remained his steady guide, never demanding more than Noah could give. The boys communicated through shared rituals, lining up toy cars, tapping rhythms on tabletops, humming melodies only they seemed to understand. Lauren noticed something remarkable. Noah wasn't just speaking again. He was calmer, stronger, more himself than he had been even before the silence. Lauren's relationship with Ryan deepened just as naturally. There was no dramatic confession, no sweeping romance that felt out of place. Instead, there were long conversations after the boys fell asleep, shared laughter over simple meals, and an unspoken understanding that grew stronger each day. Ryan never treated Lauren like a billionaire. He treated her like a woman who had been tired for a long time. One evening, after Noah had gone to bed, Lauren sat beside Ryan on the balcony of her penthouse, city lights stretching endlessly below them. "I spent years believing control was the same as strength," she said quietly. "But I was wrong." Ryan looked at her. "Strength is staying when things don't make sense." Lauren nodded. "You stayed." "So did you," Ryan replied. Months passed. The boys started preschool together, supported by teachers who understood communication beyond speech. Noah spoke more frequently now, short sentences, careful words, but still relied on gestures and sounds when he needed to. Lauren no longer flinched at that. She listened. One morning, as she prepared for a major international summit, Noah tugged at her sleeve. "Mama," he said clearly. "Stay." Lauren crouched down. "I'll be back tonight." Noah thought for a moment, then nodded. "Okay," he said. "Be safe." Lauren stepped into her heels that day with tears in her eyes, not from fear, but from gratitude. A year after that first meeting in Prospect Park, Ryan invited Lauren and the boys on a weekend trip to Napa Valley, California. No business meetings. No obligations. Just open air, quiet mornings, and space to breathe. On the second evening, as the sun dipped low over the vineyards, Ryan took Lauren's hand. "I don't want to rush anything," he said. "But I know this. What we've built isn't temporary." Lauren felt the truth of it settle in her chest. Neither of them needed grand speeches. They already knew. The wedding was small. No press releases. No celebrity guests. No billionaire spectacle. Just close friends, family, and two boys standing proudly beside them. Noah wore a small navy suit. Ethan adjusted his tie repeatedly, focused and serious. When the officiant asked if anyone wished to say something, the moment passed quietly. Then Noah stepped forward. Lauren's breath caught. He looked up at her, then at Ryan, then at Ethan. "Love," Noah said softly. That was all. No one needed more. Life after marriage didn't suddenly become perfect. There were still hard days. Noah sometimes struggled to express himself. Ethan still found certain environments overwhelming. Lauren still faced immense pressure running a global corporation. But the difference was this. They faced everything together. Lauren reorganized her priorities. She delegated more. Traveled less. She stopped measuring success by public recognition and started measuring it by bedtime conversations and weekend breakfasts. One night, as she tucked Noah into bed, he asked a question that stopped her heart. "Mama," he said, "was I broken?" Lauren sat beside him, choosing her words carefully. "No," she said firmly. "You were never broken." Noah looked thoughtful. "Just quiet." "Yes," Lauren smiled. "Just quiet. And brave." Noah nodded, satisfied. Down the hall, Ethan hummed softly, building a puzzle with Ryan. Lauren stood there for a moment, taking it all in. The silence that once terrified her had become something sacred. It had taught her patience. It had taught her humility. And it had taught her that love does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it comes quietly. Through a stranger in a park. Through a child who speaks without words. Through a voice that finds its way back when it finally feels safe enough to be heard. Lauren Whitmore was still a billionaire. Still powerful. Still respected. But the greatest success of her life would never appear on a balance sheet. It lived in her home. In her family. In a small voice that once went silent and returned stronger than ever. Not every miracle comes with noise. Some arrive in silence, through understanding, through someone who stays when it's easier to walk away. Lauren didn't save her son with money or influence. She saved him by slowing down long enough to listen. And maybe that's the reminder we all need.